During my grad school journey, I started off by obtaining my master's in school administration. As a big picture yet detail-oriented person, I wanted to turn my years as an educator into a managerial position that could serve at-risk and underserved groups in a larger way than just assisting the students in my classroom. From there, I added my AIG certification in order to better assist our gifted students. Since my wife serves our district as an EC specialist and spends her day serving the quote-unquote low-end students, I thought that I could go the other direction and learn how to better serve our high-level students. Currently, I am obviously completing my curriculum and instruction certification in order to help better assist creating learning structures and cultures that benefit all of our students. I started my teaching career 15 years ago in a Title I school that was more than half white, but barely. We did have some Hispanic students, but most of the non-white students were African American. Almost immediately, even as a brand new lateral entry teacher, I realized that my school had a very strong AIG, or as they just called it, AG program, but almost none of the students in the program were black. In fact, of the 20 plus AG 8th grade students, only 2 were black, 1 boy and 1 girl. This made no sense to me as I had numerous highly intelligent black kids, yet they were not considered AG. Over the years, I've come to realize that minorities, specifically black kids, are very rarely identified as potentially gifted, and therefore are not being tested for the program. This course has helped me realize that not only are teachers, a majority of them in Sampson County being white, not identifying gifted students of color, the curriculums being taught don't always serve the learning styles and needs of our minority students. As I was researching for this assignment, I was struck by a quote or some information by W.E.B. Du Bois from the book The Negro Problem. Du Bois used the term the talented tenth to describe the likelihood of 1 in 10 black men becoming leaders of their race in the world, or nowadays, and women, through methods such as continuing their education, writing books, or becoming directly involved in social change. He strongly believed that blacks needed a classical education to be able to reach their full potential, rather than the industrial education promoted by the Atlanta Compromise and endorsed by Booker T. Washington and some white philanthropists. He saw classical education as the basis for what, in the 20th century, would be known as public intellectuals. Based on this notion that 1/10 of my African American students should be considered talented, I should have had at least 6, if not more, black AIG students. As much as I appreciate the curricular concept of educating through occupations as presented in our text from Joseph in chapter 7, especially when conducted as in the example of Township High School, I felt that this was used as a cop-out in my old district, as it seemed to channel black students in that way rather than utilizing other curricular pathways which could stimulate their academic abilities. Unfortunately, as stated on page 200 of Flinders and Thornton, intellectually best has been narrowed to academically best in a traditional sense. Sadly, due to cultural and learning differences, gifted black students do not always fit into the academically best category due to curricular and testing biases that favor white students. Gifted black students are no less gifted or talented, they simply aren't given an equal playing field at times in which to display their abilities. At this point, I am thinking that connecting to the canon would best serve gifted minority students, as it is a, quote, time-honored stimulating curriculum centered upon the universal truths and persistent quandaries of humankind, aimed at developing understanding of the best way to live one's life, is the ideal education for all students, and that's from Joseph, page 152. Although I don't agree that canon simply needs to be old, widely accepted classics, I do think that finding some more new classics that contain universal themes and touch upon canonical concepts could greatly benefit our gifted, even if unidentified, black students. This type of material is perfectly suited for deep and impassioned discussions that are beneficial to all. Including African American material and authors would help to empower our future black leaders. I believe that by employing more African American teachers and having them help drive the curriculum, it would go a long way towards making learning more approachable to all of our black students and assist gifted black students to both be identified as AG and to help them reach their full potential.